Discover how an undercover CEO transformed a hidden security guard's life in just 30 days. Jake's nights were like shadows, creeping into the dawn before he even knew it. The bustling city around him vibrated with ambition, but in the glow of the corporate office lights, he felt small, unseen, just a guardian of glass and steel. Every tick of the clock echoed his own sacrifices, feeding his daughter Maya, juggling bills without ever letting her see the strain on his face. The American dream seemed like a cruel joke, a whisper fading into the night. Maya asked questions that cut like glass. "Dad, why do we live like this? Will we ever get out?" Her hopeful eyes held the weight of a world where dreams collided with stark reality. It broke Jake's heart to see her like that, to know that the life he fought for didn't align with the shimmering future she envisioned. Then came Sarah, an enigma wrapped in designer clothes. Little did they know, she had her own battle to fight. A high-powered CEO who skirted between luxury and relentless pressure, she decided to go undercover, curious to explore the very lives of the people she managed. With determination, she donned a security uniform, blending into the world that Jake inhabited, unbeknownst to him that her presence would alter their fates forever. As Jake walked the quiet halls, nodding to the few workers, he didn't notice Sarah at first. But as the days passed, their paths intertwined. It was long before she saw the fatigue mixed with something profound resilience. Jake's life unfolded before her eyes, the patient smile he wore, the way he wrapped his daughter in warmth and hope every night, even when their struggles loomed large. His story is worth telling, Sarah thought, heart racing as she began to understand the emotional toll of his sacrifices. The more she observed, the more indignant she felt about the ignorance surrounding jobs like his, jobs that fed the system, but often went unnoticed. In moments of vulnerability, she watched him lean against the cold concrete wall, wiping sweat from his brow, a fervent wish for a better life hidden beneath his tough exterior. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But tragedy struck. A sudden event, a break-in late at night shattered the calm. Jake sprang into action, adrenaline surging through his veins as he faced an unexpected danger, the survival of his job, and ultimately, the stability of his family hanging in the balance. Sarah watched as he dealt with the chaos, raw courage blooming amid fear. It left her breathless and sparked a connection as profound as the scars they each carried. Eager to help, she plunged into the corporate labyrinth, hoping to disrupt the system that limited Jake's opportunities. What she didn't predict was the relentless pushback she'd face from people who thrived on the status quo. Their journeys and struggles tangled like vines in a dense forest, fraught with obstacles and complications. As Jake wrestled with the aftermath of the incident, his patience started to fray. The weight of reality was heavy, isolating. Could he really challenge the barriers imposed by a corporate world that didn't see him? As hope and despair clashed, Sarah had to face her privilege, questioning what real change looked like and how far she could go to forge a new path for someone like Jake. Their worlds were colliding, and soon, they'd reach a boiling point, one that would demand every ounce of Jake's courage and every shred of Sarah's compassion. Would they choose to embrace the connection that offered light amidst their struggles, or would they allow the invisible walls to keep them apart? The answer lingered, electrifying, waiting to be discovered. Jake paced the silence of the break room, his hands jammed deep in his pockets. The aftermath of the break-in still weighed heavy on his shoulders. He could feel the eyes of his co-workers on him, filled with questions unasked. Each tick of the clock without a solution bled into another moment of crushing doubt. How could he prove himself when the system felt rigged against him? Days turned into a blur of responsibilities and weariness. The nights were restless. Maya clung to her questions, and the uncertainty pressed on him like a weight he couldn't shake off. His daughter had always been his beacon of hope, but lately, the flicker of that light seemed to dim. "Dad?" Maya's voice broke through his thoughts one night. She was curled up on the couch, her teddy bear tucked under her arm. "Are we ever going to be happy again?" He knelt beside her, taking in the innocence in her eyes. "Of course we will, kiddo. Just gotta work through some stuff, that's all." But even he felt the hollow note in his own voice. He wanted more than just survival. He craved stability, joy, and, most importantly, hope. Meanwhile, Sarah pored over the reports in her office. The chaos of the break-in rattled in her mind like a persistent echo. She knew things couldn't stay the same. Jake's courage to face that danger reminded her that there were real lives impacted by numbers on a spreadsheet. But confronting her colleagues was no easy task. They dismissed the realities of frontline workers, hidden in their corner offices, shielded from the chaos outside. "Sarah, you can't be serious about making changes," Mark, her senior advisor, scoffed one afternoon. "We're not social workers, we're a business. We do what needs to be done to keep profits up. These people, they just don't understand." "Maybe they don't understand because we're not listening." She shot back, fiery indignation bubbling to the surface. "They deserve better. Jake deserves better. What if he's the heart of our company we've overlooked?" She left Mark's office feeling vexed but resolute. It was time for a strategy, not just plans for profits, but plans that would lift Jake and others like him, recognizing their contributions and sacrifices. Days passed, and a bold idea sparked in Sarah's mind. She started organizing town hall meetings, inviting employees from all levels. She wanted the voices at the ground level, the people like Jake, to speak out. She reached out to Jake, her heart racing with a mix of fear and hope. "Jake, can you meet me tomorrow? I want to talk about something important," Sarah texted, biting her lip as she pressed send. Would he trust her enough to meet? Jake read the message and felt a glimmer of something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in a long time: curiosity. She had seen him in a moment of courage. Maybe she truly wanted to help. The next evening, he found himself standing at the entrance to the small coffee shop, the familiar aroma of brewing coffee wrapping around him like a warm embrace. His heart pounded as he stepped inside, scanning the room and finally locking eyes with Sarah at a corner table. She waved, a hopeful smile on her face, but the anxious lines around her eyes told him she felt the weight of their meeting just as much. "Thank you for coming," she said, voice steady but nervous. "Yeah, well, you wanted to talk," he replied, the edge of caution threading through his voice. What lay ahead could either sink or lift them both. He took a seat, unsure of what the future held or what Sarah was planning that could change everything. Would she reach out a hand to him, or would it all fall apart? Sarah took a deep breath, ready to unveil her plan. But would Jake be open to it, or was fear too tightly woven into his fabric of reality to let hope in? The room felt electric as the first words began to form. The words caught in Sarah's throat. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind, each scenario building tension that felt almost unbearable. She looked at Jake, his furrowed brow revealing uncertainty, and she felt a stir of sympathy. They were both balancing on the edge of something: hope, change, maybe even a sense of belonging. "Jake," she began, her voice slightly shaky but slowly gaining confidence. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened, and I don't want anyone, especially you, to feel like your contributions don't matter. You're more than just a security guard. You deserve to be seen and heard." Jake's guard was up. He didn't know whether to be flattered or skeptical. "What do you mean?" "I'm just doing my job, right? Protecting the building and the people in it." "No," Sarah insisted, leaning forward. "You're right at the heart of everything we do. You protect not just the place, but the people who work here. There's a disconnect, I believe, between what we do in those corner offices and what you face every day." His skepticism began to give way to something else. Interest. Maybe even a flicker of hope. And what exactly are you suggesting? I want to hold town hall meetings, give everyone a voice. I want to help bridge that gap. But I can't do this alone, Jake. I need you to come with me. Share your story, your insights. Show everyone the real impact of our work. Jake met her gaze, and for the first time, he saw a glimmer of genuine belief. But doubt hung heavily in the air. And what if they don't want to listen? What if they find us too small? Then we make them listen. Her eyes shone with determination. Look, I know it's a risk. But it's worth it. We can't afford to remain silent. If we don't stand up now, we might lose everything, including the people who make this company what it is. Those words stirred something in him. He felt the tension in his shoulders ease just a little. You really think we can change things? I know we can, she replied, her voice steady now. It starts with you. Your story could inspire others. It's not just about changing the negatives, it's about recognizing the positives, too. Jake considered her words, weighing them against all the fears that had clouded his mind for so long. His life was wrapped up in routine, it was predictable and safe but unfulfilling. Sarah was offering him more than just a chance to speak, she was handing him a lifeline. What if I fail? He asked, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Then we fail together. That's the beauty of it. But you have to take that step first. Trust me, she said, her eyes softening. People will listen, they need to hear your courage. A silence enveloped them, the weight of the moment grounding both of them. Jake felt a rush of emotions, fear, uncertainty, but also the tiniest flicker of hope shining through the cracks. Okay, he whispered, barely able to believe he was saying it. I'll do it. I'll speak. Sarah's smile burst forth like sunlight through storm clouds. Thank you, Jake. This is the start of something big. I can feel it. But as they continued to talk, a nagging thought tugged at him. What if this didn't change anything for Maya? What if the voices of the corporate world drowned out the one he tried to rally? Would this be enough to lift his family from the darkness that had settled around them? The conversation buzzed around them, but in the back of Jake's mind, questions loomed. He had taken that first step, but the road ahead was winding and uncertain. What lay around the next bend? Would their efforts lead to the change they desperately wanted, or would they find themselves at another dead end? As hope blossomed in his heart, one truth echoed clear: he was ready to fight, ready to reclaim that flicker of light for his daughter. But was that spark enough to ignite a fire? The days that followed felt like a whirlwind. Jake awoke each morning with the weight of what he had agreed to do pressing down on him. He would practice in front of the bathroom mirror, words tumbling over each other nearly every time. They need to know, he reminded himself, repeating the mantra like a lifeline. His heart raced at the thought of standing before his colleagues, their faces expectant, questioning, even skeptical. Yet, despite the nerves gnawing at him, a different feeling began to blossom. Inspired by Sarah's unwavering support, he started jotting down his thoughts at night. Each entry captured a piece of his day's stories of interaction with staff, moments that mirrored the struggles and victories of those around him. It became a habit, a small energy flowing through him even in his darkest moments. One evening, while going through his notes, something clicked. As he looked at the words he'd written, his fears, his dreams, his experiences, it finally felt like they weren't just fragments of himself, but a story waiting to be shared. The voice inside his head chimed in, louder and clearer, urging him to remember why he was doing this, for Maya. Maya, he thought of her smiling face, the way her laughter could brighten even the heaviest of days. She deserved to see her father standing up for something meaningful. The contrast was stark. How could he complain about feeling stuck, when she had shown him how to embrace life, even when it was tough? Days turned into weeks, and the date of the first town hall meeting was approaching. Jake arrived early, pacing the room that would host the other employees. He watched the chairs fill up, people exchanging glances as they recognized him at the front. Voices murmured, and he caught snippets of their conversations. Some were intrigued, others seemed judgmental. Was he really doing the right thing? Finally, Sarah stepped up beside him. Her presence felt like a warm blanket, and for that moment, the world seemed to fade away. "You're not alone," she whispered, and her reassurance carried him through the doors of self-doubt. As the meeting began, Jake watched faces turn toward him. Some were familiar, others strangers with curious expressions. The room grew quiet, and the moment hung in the air. He swallowed hard, feeling every set of eyes on him. "Hey everyone," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "I'm Jake, your security guard." There was a stir, an energy vibrating in the air, almost palpable. He searched for Sarah in the crowd, finding her watching him intently, her expression encouraging. He took a deep breath. "I know many of you see me just as the guy at the front desk, but I promise there's more to my story." He plunged into the tales he'd woven over the past weeks, the little acts of kindness he witnessed daily, the struggles and triumphs of his colleagues. Each story felt like a thread, connecting him more deeply to those he addressed. The emotional weight of his words wrapped around the room, drawing them in. Faces softened as he shared personal moments involving his daughter, the way she taught him resilience just by living. As he spoke, Jake felt a thawing inside him, like the beginning of spring after a long winter. "I want you all to realize that our roles intertwine," he concluded, hope soaring through him. "What we do in this building matters, every role matters. And together, we can make a real difference." As the first round of applause washed over him, Jake felt lighter, more alive than he had in years. It was only the beginning, and yet it felt monumental. But as the meeting came to a close and the chatter began again, a new worry settled into the pit of his stomach. Would this be enough? Could they really inspire change, or would it slip back into silence like it always had? His heart raced, the uncertainty looming larger than before. Were they strong enough to keep this momentum going? Would his voice and the voices of others echo in the halls long after this day had passed? As he stepped away from the podium, he realized the fight was only just beginning. Would he rise to meet the challenge, or would they all falter under the pressure? Jake walked off the stage with a rush of adrenaline surging through him. Applause still reverberated in his ears, but the warmth he had felt moments ago quickly morphed back into the chill of insecurity. Doubts began to creep in. Did they really hear him? Or had he merely performed before a sea of indifferent faces? He moved through the crowd, trying to catch snippets of conversations amidst the hustle and bustle. Employee voices bubbled around him, some discussed plans for the next project, while others cracked jokes, but he felt like an outsider. A weight clung to his chest, ballooning with each conversation he overheard. Did he truly connect, or was he still just the security guard to them? Sarah caught up to him, her eyes gleaming. "Jake! You were amazing. They loved it." She beamed with pride, her enthusiasm infectious. He managed a smile, but it faltered. "Did they? Or do they just like the idea that I stood up?" "Stop that," she scolded gently, playful yet serious. "You spoke from the heart, and that's what matters. You opened a door, Jake. There's been a shift, I felt it." As the chatter around them continued, Jake tried to hold on to that notion. Perhaps Sarah was right. He wanted to believe in the change he sparked. But self-doubt curled its fingers around his resolve, squeezing tighter. "Let's grab a coffee," Sarah suggested, nudging him toward the break room. The comforting aroma of brewed coffee wafted through the air, beckoning him like an embrace. Maybe a moment alone with Sarah would settle his racing thoughts. Once inside, Sarah poured 2 steaming cups and leaned against the counter, offering him one. Her presence flooded the room with warmth. "You know, I really think this could be the start of something good," she said, her tone earnest. "You might have just inspired someone to speak up." A knot formed in Jake's stomach at the thought. What if someone actually took his words to heart? Could he handle that responsibility? "Are you worried about your next move?" Sarah asked, breaking his train of thought. You did great up there, and now they expect more. Jake shook his head, feeling overwhelmed. It's just what if it fizzles out? I've seen it happen before. One big speech, and then nothing changes. But it's not about the speech. It's about the conversations it started. You've given people a reason to think differently, she insisted, her eyes searching his. You can lead from where you are, Jake. You don't need a title to make a difference. Her words lingered in the air. The gravity of that statement struck him, causing a ripple of hope to weave through his hesitations. Maybe she was right. Maybe he didn't need to climb a corporate ladder to inspire change. His heart raced at the thought. Just then, the door swung open, and a group of employees filed in, their chatter filling the space. Jake's breath hitched as he recognized familiar faces. They approached, smiles spread across their features. Hey, Jake, one of them said, a man from the maintenance crew. I heard what you said in there. It really spoke to me. We've got a lot we can work on together. The ripple transformed into a wave. Yeah. Another chimed in. We need to keep this going. Jake felt a spark ignite within him. The gravity of their words pushed open a door he thought was locked tight. Really? He asked, disbelief woven into his tone. Absolutely. Let us figure out how to make things better for everyone, the maintenance guy said, nodding firmly. As they began discussing ideas, tension began to melt away. Hope filled his chest, unfolding like a new leaf. Could they really ground this energy into something real? Hour by hour, Jake joined them, sinking into discussion after discussion, ideas bouncing back and forth. Each step felt like concrete being laid, building a solid foundation for something greater. But as they started to outline plans, another thought crept in: was he ready for this? Just as they were about to wrap up, a new voice joined the group. A woman, quiet yet powerful, stepped forward. What if we involve the wider community? She proposed, and with those words, a whole new wave of excitement brewed. Jake exchanged a glance with Sarah, and the thrill of possibility hummed in the air between them. What if this was just the beginning? Would they really take it beyond these walls? As they sketched out ideas for community involvement, he felt the pressure return, but this time, it was different. The burden was no longer a source of doubt, it became a shared weight, one he could bear alongside others. With every passing second, he understood one thing: change was just within reach, but would he have the courage to take the leap and grab it? The moment hung heavy as a new challenge emerged, one that could push them all beyond their limits. What if this was not just a local transformation, but a spark that could ignite something much larger? Jake felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. Could he really take all these people along with him? Could they make a difference together? The thought loomed as he stepped back into the world waiting beyond the break room, his heart pounding with the thrill of the unknown. What lay ahead felt both daunting and exhilarating, and he knew one thing for certain: there was no turning back now. Jake stepped back into the main area, the buzz of the gathering still vibrant around him. He could feel the warmth of the coffee still lingering in his hands, but it wasn't just the caffeine energizing him, it was the shared vision he'd just tasted. Let us go for it then, he said, his voice lifting slightly, catching the attention of those around him. The maintenance guy nodded enthusiastically, and soon, heads began to bob in agreement. He needed this. They all did. Their conversation morphed into a plan. They began hashing out details: who would reach out to local businesses, what events they could hold to draw in community members. Each word felt like another layer added to the structure they were building. Jake channeled every ounce of energy he had into pushing this idea forward. It felt contagious. As they stood gathered around the break room table, paper strewn about, coffee mugs now empty, he started feeling a sense of camaraderie take shape. No longer was he just the security guard, he was Jake, a collaborator. Combined, they crafted impact statements, dedicated themselves to cause. That woman Rachel, who had had the spark of an idea, she carefully detailed a plan for an upcoming community event. We can have a fun fair on the company grounds. Games, food, and a discussion panel. It'll bring everyone together. She suggested. The enthusiasm in her voice was electric, giving courage to the rest. Jake took a breath. It was ambitious. What if they failed? What if no one showed? But then he remembered the weight of their discussions, the honest hopes in everyone's eyes. Let's do it, he found himself saying, shocked at his own resolve. With Rachel as the main organizer, they divided tasks. They left the break room with a buoyancy, the hum of excitement buzzing in Jake's ears. He was no longer an outsider, an observer of life unfolding before him. He was in the thick of it, moving forward with his colleagues. The days that followed were filled with laughter, brainstorming sessions, and the occasional heated debate. Jake found himself devising creative ways to promote their efforts. They partnered with local schools and reached out to organizations for support. Everywhere he turned, he saw encouragement and growth. Yet, as the fair approached, anxiety began to knot in his stomach again. What if they failed? Despite their collective energy, as the day neared, doubts resurfaced, the kind that whispered, "You're just the security guard again." Sarah noticed his hesitation one afternoon. "You've come so far, Jake. Don't let fear hold you back now," she reminded him gently. "Think of how many want this, how many need it." Her words struck a chord. He was in the right place, doing the right thing. This was about everyone, not just him. The day of the event dawned bright and clear. The sun woke up slowly, lighting up the skies with dazzling oranges and pinks, and along with it, Jake's nerves unraveled. He stepped onto the grounds now bustling with tents and balloons and took a deep breath. As families started filling the space, laughter spread like wildfire. The smell of popcorn wafted through the air, and the sounds of children playing faded into the background of the growing crowd. Hope blossomed in his chest. Maybe this was it. This was what they fought for, a shared vision, a push for real change that connected them all. Just as he began to relax into the day, he spotted a familiar figure moving through the crowd. A tall, imposing man in a suit approached, clearly out of place. A shiver of recognition coursed through Jake, a senior executive he had only seen in passing. As the sleek figure drew closer, Jake's heart quickened. What would he say? Would they understand what was happening here? "Jake, right?" the man said, a curious light in his eye. And in that moment, uncertainty washed over him anew. Would this executive see the potential of this grassroots effort or dismiss it as simply a fair meant for idle fun? Jake straightened, hoping to meet this moment with the strength he had discovered. The crowd buzzed around him, everyone waiting for the next ripple, the next wave of transformation, but would it come from this unexpected encounter? The weight of their dreams rested heavily on Jake's shoulders. Should he take the risk to share their vision? Would this be another fork in the road toward real change? "Welcome," he said, his voice steady but his heart racing, ready to seize the moment. The executive took a step closer, his expression shifting from curiosity to interest. Jake's heart drummed loudly in his chest. What if he could communicate the importance of the event? What if he could make this man see beyond his suit and tie? "It's quite a crowd, isn't it?" the executive remarked, glancing around at the families and laughter that filled the sunny space. "It is," Jake replied, finding his voice as he gestured towards the festivities. "We wanted to create something special for the community. To connect, to celebrate." A lump formed in his throat, he could feel so many eyes on him, as if the world was paused, waiting for his next words. The man's brow raised, intrigued. Community events can be powerful. They can spark real change. Jake took a breath. This was his moment. Exactly. We've been working hard to bring people together. There's so much talent and creativity in our community. We just need a way to showcase it. Showcase it how? The executive leaned forward slightly, his attention fully on Jake now. Through games, food, and discussions, he found himself blurting out, recalling Rachel's aims. It's more than just fun, it's about building partnerships, strengthening bonds, and providing support. You see, a lot of us crave connection. Work can feel isolating, but events like this can change that. The executive nodded slowly, his gaze thoughtful. Jake's nerves began to fade, replaced by a burgeoning conviction. This isn't just a fair. It's a step towards something bigger. We want to encourage ideas, dialogue, and collaboration. Interesting. The executive looked around again, absorbing the scene. And what do you need from me? He asked, an eyebrow raised. Jake felt a rush of excitement mixed with trepidation. This was the moment he'd been building up to throughout their planning sessions. Support. Just exposure. If we can get the word out to more people, we can amplify what we are trying to do here. A thoughtful silence settled between them. Jake felt the bustling atmosphere around them, the sounds of laughter, children shrieking with joy, and the sizzling of food being served. His own heartbeat echoed in his ears. The executive glanced around again and then back at Jake. You're passionate, and that's important. I'll tell you what, let's meet later when the event winds down. I want to hear more about your vision. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Was this really happening? Was the executive genuinely interested in his ideas? He felt a rush of warmth spreading through him. Thank you, he managed, his voice thick with emotion. It means a lot. Just keep doing what you're doing, the executive said, giving Jake a nod and stepping back into the crowd, seemingly already processing everything around him. Jake watched him disappear into the throng, confidence surging within him. Could this be the pathway to real change? The start of something beautiful that would ripple far beyond their small gathering? As he turned back to the festivities, he spotted Rachel, her face glowing as she chuckled with a group of kids. Each smile reflected their shared hopes. Jake felt a sense of belonging swell in his chest. But then a little girl tugged at his pant leg, pointing toward the ring toss booth. Mister, can you help me? Jake knelt down, surprised by the innocence of her request. Of course. As he led her towards the booth, he noticed Sarah out of the corner of his eye, talking animatedly with other volunteers. Jake felt a surge of gratitude for everyone who had come together. This event was more than just a gathering now. It was alive, and Jake was a part of it. But what would the executive's interest mean? Would this spark lead to something that could reshape their entire environment? The day pressed onward with joy and laughter, but the destiny of their grassroots movement hung in delicate balance. Could one conversation alter the course of everything they had fought for? As the sounds of laughter and joy enveloped him, Jake's heart raced with anticipation. What changes were still to come? The day seemed to flow like a dream, full of laughter and celebration. Jake helped the little girl win a small stuffed animal at the ring toss, her eyes lighting up with delight. In that moment, he could feel the essence of community wrapping around him like a warm blanket. It wasn't just about the games or the food, it was about forging connections that would last. As the afternoon sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over everything, Jake spotted Rachel again. She was working with a group of teens, organizing a dance-off that had everyone cheering loudly. Her energy was contagious, and Jake couldn't help but grin as he watched her move with such passion. Hey, Jake! Rachel called out, her voice bubbling with excitement. You have to come judge the next round. I'm on it. He shouted back, jogging over to where the crowd was gathered, feeling lighter than air. Each step he took felt like a step toward a future he'd only dreamt about, one where they could truly impact their community. But just as he joined the group, his phone buzzed in his pocket. Hesitating, he pulled it out, glancing at the screen. One new message. It was from the executive. Looking forward to our chat later. Let us grab some refreshments when you're ready. Jake's heart raced again. Could this really be the beginning of something bigger? He tucked his phone back into his pocket, forcing himself to focus. After all, they needed to celebrate their progress today. Tomorrow could wait. An hour passed quickly, filled with laughter and cheers ringing through the air. Kids danced, families enjoyed food together, and more people had shown up than he could have imagined. It was a heartfelt reminder of the importance of what they were creating. Jake wanted this feeling to wash over everyone, a moment of belonging that would drive them all forward. As dusk started to settle in, colorful string lights flickered on, adding magic to the evening. Jake glanced at Rachel, who was now pulling challenges for the dance-off finalists. A bubble of laughter burst from her as one girl executed a twirl, tripping but catching herself with grace. Maybe we should add a prize for best recovery. Jake joked as he approached. Rachel chuckled, that's the spirit. We could give out plush toys. Oh wait, too cliché, right? It's never cliché if it brings smiles, Jake replied, grinning. But in the midst of their laughter, Jake's mind wandered back to the executive's words. What if this was the breakthrough they needed? Just that thought ignited a spark within him. Later, he would share his vision about creating spaces for collaboration, nurturing creativity, and uplifting those who felt unseen. With renewed determination, Jake excused himself as twilight deepened and slipped away from the festivities for a moment. He needed to mentally prepare for this meeting. He found a quiet corner, away from the pulsating music and chatter. The air grew cool, and the peacefulness was a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos around him. Jake closed his eyes, taking deep breaths, visualizing the conversation. How would he convey the depth of his passion and the dreams he had for the community? And just as he began to feel confident, he heard footsteps approaching. His heart quickened. Was it Rachel? Or maybe even the executive? Jake opened his eyes to find it was Sarah, her brow furrowed slightly. Hey, you okay? You sort of disappeared on us. Yeah, just thinking about everything. It feels huge, you know. Jake admitted. Her face softened. It is huge. You've put so much into this event. Just remember, whatever happens with the executive, you're already doing something amazing here. His heart swelled at her words. Thanks, Sarah. I truly appreciate it. She nodded and glanced back towards the bright lights. Let us go back before they start calling for a rescue mission. We can't let them think we abandoned the party. Jake laughed and followed her. But deep down, the lingering anticipation about his meeting weighed heavily. Would the executive understand? Would he share the same vision? As they rejoined the throng of joyful faces, Jake couldn't shake the hopeful feeling that this was only the beginning. But what if things didn't go as planned? How could he rally if the conversation didn't lead anywhere? The night glimmered with potential and uncertainty, and as they moved back into the vibrant celebration, Jake's heart thumped loudly. Would his dreams resonate with the executive, or would they dissolve like smoke in the air? The music pulsed around them as Jake and Sarah returned to the festivities. Laughter and cheers filled the air, mingling with the scent of grilled food and sweet cotton candy. Jake's heart fluttered with excitement and nervousness. The party was thriving, yet the impending conversation with the executive loomed over him like a cloud. Sarah elbowed him playfully. Come on, judge a few rounds. Show off those dance skills of yours. She laughed when Jake feigned reluctance. Judge? More like embarrass myself, he joked, but the warmth spreading in his chest told him to join in. They took their place at the makeshift judging table, set amid colorful balloons and banners. As the next dancers took the floor, Jake found himself laughing again. Rachel was spinning and clapping, invigorating the audience. Her enthusiasm lit up the night, and Jake felt it pull him in. After a particularly spirited performance, he glanced at Sarah. Look at her. She's the heart of this event, isn't she? Absolutely, Sarah agreed, a soft smile on her face. She believes in it, just like you. Jake nodded, his mind momentarily slipping into contemplation. Could he do this? Could he step into that executive boardroom with the same conviction Rachel had on stage? But doubts edged him, whispering about potential failure. What if he missed the mark? The energy of the dance-off swept him up again. The crowd was roaring, and the spotlight danced around excited faces. He clapped along, absorbing the warmth and joy until one dancer, a quiet boy near the back, stepped forward. He hesitated, glancing around, clearly unsure. But when he finally began his simple routine, Jake felt the shift. The boy poured his heart into every movement, his spirit breaking through the shyness with enthusiasm. "That's what it's all about," Jake exclaimed, turning to Sarah, whose eyes were wide with delight. "I love how he's just owning it," she replied, her voice filled with pride for him. When the boy finished, the crowd erupted in applause, cheering him on. Jake's heart swelled as he realized that moments like these were what he wanted to amplify. The connections being forged in this very space, how could the executive not see its value? "Hey!" Rachel shouted, bringing him back to the moment. "You're up next. We need an official judge's ruling." Jake laughed, unable to hold back the infectious energy surrounding him. Okay. I'm ready." He felt lighter now, ready to embrace the moment. The rhythm of the evening pulsed in his veins, and he was alive with purpose. As he joined in, dancing along with the crowd, he caught sight of Rachel again. She was laughing, her hair glowing in the twinkling lights. There was something about her spirit, how she made every little thing feel bigger and brighter. But as the music slowed, his mind drifted back to the executive. It felt like a tightrope he was walking. What would he say? How would he bridge this newfound energy with the business aspects of his community vision? Suddenly, he felt a tap on his shoulder. It was Sarah again, her face glowing with happiness. "Let's get a photo with the finalists. Capturing that moment, you know." The idea sent a jolt of warmth through him. Capturing moments, wasn't that what they were all about? Celebrating joy, connection, and change. As they posed with the finalists, Jake felt a sense of purpose reigniting within him. But in the back of his mind, the questions remained: how could he make all of this resonate in that meeting? He was ready for the challenge, but would it manifest into the vision he held so close? As the camera clicked and captured smiles, he locked eyes with Rachel across the crowd. She nodded, as if sensing his determination. In that instant, he knew one thing for sure: he was going to give it everything he had. Little did he know, as he turned back to the celebration, the unexpected news that awaited him later that night would shake the very foundation of everything he believed about the community and himself. As the night wore on, the festival felt like magic. Laughter rang out from every corner, children spun in circles under the glow of string lights, and families gathered to share in the joy. Jake stood awash in warmth, the thrill of community filling his heart. But the thought of the impending conversation with the executive festered in the back of his mind, a mixture of hope and trepidation swirling within him. The dance-off continued on, and with it, every beat pushed away some of his apprehension. Each performance was a reminder of the voices they were striving to elevate, the stories they could tell. When Jake caught sight of the shy boy again, now standing in the spotlight with renewed confidence, he couldn't help but cheer. Watching others step into their power ignited a flame in him, a flame that whispered, "You can do this." "Hey, Jake!" Sarah called out, weaving through the crowd. "The executive just arrived. He's looking for you." A rush of adrenaline coursed through him. "Now? Right now?" "Yes. Come on, let's not keep him waiting." Her voice was warm, but her eyes glimmered with the kind of excitement that settled Jake's nerves a bit. Sarah, always the beacon, was right there alongside him. He held on to the buoy of her presence as they made their way through the crowd. The fair buzzed around him, but as they approached the executive, everything else faded. There he stood, talking to a few employees, his suit starkly contrasting the colorful decorations and casual atmosphere. Jake swallowed hard, remembering all the times he felt unseen, just like the stories he had shared. "Jake!" The executive turned, spotting him with a smile. "I'm glad I found you." Thanks for coming, Jake replied, hoping his voice wouldn't shake. Did you enjoy the festivities? Absolutely. The energy here is incredible. You've created something special. The executive gestured to the crowds of people. But I'm more interested in learning about your thoughts on why this matters. Jake took a breath, his heart racing. This isn't just an event for fun. It's about connecting with the community, showcasing individuals. People want to be seen, their stories heard. It enhances not only morale but also teamwork. When you know each other, you work better together. The executive nodded, paying close attention. I see what you're saying. You're advocating for collaboration and understanding. But tell me, how does that translate back to our company? Jake felt the weight of the moment. Because when our employees feel valued and connected, it reflects in their work. Happy employees lead to loyal and productive workers. The value extends beyond these walls. Imagine partnerships with community businesses that can foster growth. It's sharing our brand through authenticity. The executive's brow furrowed, and for a moment, Jake's heart sank. Had he lost him? But then, a glimmer of curiosity sparked in the man's eyes. So, what's the next step? He asked. Jake's confidence surged. To create community advisory boards. Invite voices from different departments and backgrounds to explore ideas together. We can hold regular town hall meetings to keep lines of communication open. It's not just about profits, it's about fostering a real culture that values everyone. The executive's expression shifted. With each word Jake uttered, it seemed like the vision was bubbling up. I like the idea of connecting people, real conversations. Let us explore that further. Jake fought to keep his expression neutral, excitement flooding through him. Really? That would be amazing. Absolutely. I want to see what a partnership with our community could look like. Let us plan some meetings next week, get everyone involved to mesh business with authenticity. The executive's smile broadened, and Jake could barely believe what he was hearing. In that moment, the weight of self-doubt melted away, replaced by a radiant sense of hope. Eyes wide with gratitude, Jake nodded, unsure how to express the wave of emotion rising within him. Thank you, he managed. This is just the beginning. Let us keep up this momentum. Remember, you're the heart of this. The executive gestured toward the celebration unfolding behind them. Jake looked back at the event, the smiles, the laughter, the sense of unity. He turned back to the executive, heart swelling. Together, we can change the narrative. We can inspire others outside these walls and create a ripple effect. As they continued to discuss ideas, Jake felt like he was finally being seen, not just as a security guard but as a voice for others. The weight he carried for so long, his daughter's questions, the isolation, the uncertainties, began to lift. Moments later, as the executive turned to share his experience with other employees returning to the dance-off, Jake caught Rachel's eye. She stood surrounded by gleeful children, holding a triumphant fistful of candy, and he felt a smile break through, unbidden. The festival continued, each passerby resonating with a newfound connection. Jake knew now, in each cheer and every laugh, lay the seeds of change they had planted together. As the night wore on, the magic of the event felt endless. Hope surged within him, perhaps this was this moment he had been waiting for. It wasn't just about his story anymore, this was about everyone. And as he took a step back into the celebration, the future loomed bright with promise. He was ready to embrace it, together. Jake! Come join us. Sarah called, waving him over to the growing circle of joyful faces. He took a deep breath, inspiration firing through him, ready to engage wholeheartedly. Yes, there were challenges yet to face, but they were surrounded by a community that was beginning to believe in itself. Together, they were transforming the narrative. And with each passing moment, Jake felt the heavy chains of doubt finally giving way to the power of unity and hope. Now was the time to stand together. This was just the beginning. Now, if you felt this journey, if this story touched your heart, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive transformations. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and show your support. And don't keep it to yourself, comment below your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. We're counting on you to spread the message. Don't wait not even one more second, let us inspire together.